thank you all for tuning in. This is kind of going to be a little bit of a recap show here today because a lot did happen this week involving the Philadelphia Phillies. Some reports, some moves they made even, but nothing really too breaking newsworthy regarding the Phillies actually signing somebody like signing Bichette that I felt like I had to talk about right away. I'm going to be honest with you, I already had videos planned and recorded and all for some of these days, so I felt like just recapping everything here at the end of the week would be the best bet here, including the Phillies did reportedly offer JT Realmuto. The offer they have and had on the table for a while now is a 3-year deal for JT Realmuto. Now, for whatever reason, that's still not enough for JT Realmuto. A lot of reports to begin the offseason said he was going to get a 2-year deal from the Phillies or another team. Then the possibility of an extra 3rd year could be what gets JT Realmuto to sign a new deal, whether it was at the Phillies or a new team. The Phillies reportedly offered him that 3-year deal, but obviously still holding out, still no accepted contract between the two sides. The Phillies are standing firm with their offer. JT Realmuto still holding out for what it seems like, well, really the only explanation would be for more money because obviously he got that 3rd year. He's not going to get a 4th year. He's going to be 35 years old in March. They're not going to pay a 35-year-old catcher give him a 4-year deal. Even a 3-year deal is a little bit too much in my opinion, but if that's what it takes to keep JT Realmuto around, then I guess that's what you have to do. Again, the money not specified that on that 3-year contract that the Phillies offered him, clearly not what JT Realmuto is looking for. So we'll see what happens on that end, but it feels like inevitably JT Realmuto will end up being back with the Phillies in 2026. I'll get to a little bit more specifics later here in this episode. And then I'm sure you all saw I wanted to pay some tribute to Ranger Suarez. Good for Ranger Suarez. I'm happy for him. He signed a 5-year, $130 million contract with the Boston Red Sox this week. He obviously has been with the Phillies in their organization for a long time. He originally signed with the Phillies back in 2012. He was just 16 years old at the time as an international guy for $25,000 at the time. A 16-year-old kid getting $25,000 by the Phillies back in 2012, and now he's an $130 million man. So great for Ranger Suarez. Couldn't be happier for him. He's been so good here for the Phillies. We all know how great he's been. He's an awesome guy to like and root for, an easy guy to root for as well. I wish him nothing but the best in Boston. He's in the American League, so we don't have to see him too much. We don't have to worry about any kind of major rivalries with Ranger Suarez unless we see the Red Sox in the World Series. Then obviously we are the Philadelphia Phillies and Philadelphia fans. We'd like to light Ranger Suarez up if they have to face him in the postseason. But Ranger Suarez, he's done a lot of good stuff here for the Phillies. Obviously, 3.38 career ERA and 187 games pitched for the Phillies. That includes 119 starts. Now, he was kind of like a swingman type of reliever earlier on in his career especially, so that's why it's not all starts. Obviously, he turned into a very good starter with the Phillies the past couple of years since his debut with the team back in 2018. And then we all know his playoff success. He's been really one of the better playoff pitchers as of late in all of the Major League Baseball. He has a 1.48 playoff ERA across 11 appearances with the Phillies these past 4 years in their playoff appearances. With that, welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Much appreciated as always. Again, we got kind of a lot to talk about, a jam-packed episode. We already started talking about stuff, so here we are. Let's get right into the actual content for today, and that is another move that the Phillies made earlier this week. I didn't talk about it right away because it wasn't a really major move, but it's a move that could pay dividends for the Phillies this season in 2026. They traded for another reliever. This time they traded for Pittsburgh Pirates right-handed reliever Chase Sugar. Not really sure how you'd pronounce this, so I apologize, Chase, if you're tuning in and watching this. I'm sure you're not. But again, Chase Sugar, they got him from the Pittsburgh Pirates. In return, they gave the Pirates infield prospect Francisco Loreto. Now, Sugar, he is a 29-year-old, so kind of, you could say veteran, but just a depth kind of arm who could be a potential piece here in the bullpen. 29-year-old right-handed reliever, 3.40 ERA 31 strikeouts in 45 innings, 35 appearances with the Pittsburgh Pirates this past year in 2025. So a very solid year out of the bullpen for Chase Sugar. Nothing crazy, but nothing bad either. Now, back in 2024, that was when he got his first taste of Major League action. That with the Boston Red Sox at the time. He allowed 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, and he had a save in 8 2/3 innings pitched with the Red Sox in 2024. So not much of a sample size that year. And then obviously, again, a 3.40 ERA this past year with the Pirates in 45 innings pitched with them in 2025. So a good turnaround for him, and hopefully he can build off of that season and pitch even better, or at least just about that same with the Phillies here in 2026. He's got a 5-pitch arsenal. He's got a sweeper, cutter, sinker, 4-seamer, and a change. Doesn't really use that change too often, but the other 4 pitches he uses quite a bit and mixes them all in. Typically sits mid-90s with his velocity, so he's not going to completely overpower hitters, but he's got some good stuff to like with his pitches and his pitch arsenal, as I just said. And he's also under club control through the 2030 season, so the Phillies have some flexibility with him, and there's a lot to like having guys under club control where you can keep them around and they can build off some good seasons. They can improve and get better and hopefully be a piece for more than just a 1-year rental. Loretto, on the other hand, the prospect they gave up, he's just an 18-year-old kid. He's only played in the Dominican Summer League and at the rookie level so far in the minors with the Phillies since he's joined their system. So maybe you're giving up something there, but again, not a guy that you really is going to hurt you right now because, again, he's a young kid. He's playing at the extreme low levels of the minor leagues. Not a lot of professional baseball experience at this point, so you're not really giving up too much to get a guy like Chase Sugar who could help you a lot really here in 2026 in the Phillies bullpen. So the Phillies new look bullpen gets even another new face, so we'll see how it all shapes up. Maybe he gets one of these last spots here in 2026 trying to fill this bullpen. Now, speaking of the Phillies acquiring players, the Phillies also signed one of the top international prospects this week. They signed 17-year-old Venezuelan outfielder Francisco Renteria. Now, he's got a lot to like about him. He is MLB Pipeline's number 3 overall international prospects this year in the 2026 international class. Also the number 2 ranked prospect in the international class this year by Baseball America. So a very highly rated, highly touted prospect here for Major League Baseball and for the Phillies, obviously. Now, signed for $4 million. That is a lot of money to give a kid like that. Obviously, the Phillies see something in him. They like a lot about him. In fact, that $4 million ties the most they've ever given to an international prospect. So, obviously, the Phillies have high expectations for Renteria. And again, he's got a lot to like. He's 17 years old, but he's 6'3", 200 pounds. He's a big kid. He is a right-handed hitter, so that's also good as well. The Phillies obviously looking for right-handed bats. He's obviously not going to help here at the big league level in 2026, but who knows? Maybe he develops quickly there in the minor league system, and maybe it takes him 2 to 3 years and he's up at the big league level, helping the Phillies at Citizen Bank Park in their lineup. Renteria, all of his tools that now there's a system that they grade these prospects on a scale of like 20 to 80, 20 being kind of low level, 80 being absolute best elite. All of Renteria's tools grade above average. So he's got a lot to like about him, as I said. He has elite level offensive tools. He's got some power. He's got elite levels instincts, plate approach, plate discipline, all that kind of stuff. He's also got speed. He utilizes that speed on the base pass. He utilizes that speed to track balls down in the outfield. So really just kind of maybe a 5-tool player for Renteria. And if he develops correctly and the Phillies can get him good here in the minors, then he could be a major get for this team and a major player here for them in the future. Again, maybe it takes him a few years, but well, it definitely is going to take him a few years. He's 17 years old, but maybe he's up here and helping out sooner than expected, and maybe 3 years from now, Renteria is roaming around in the Phillies outfield and delivering in the clutch for them. And again, he's such a highly touted prospect that I've seen him draw comparisons to a legendary figure, especially with the Phillies, Bobby Abreu. Now, I'm not sure how old some of you guys are. I'm 24 years old myself, but Some of you might not even know who Bobby Abreu is. A lot of you most likely do. But Bobby Abreu, that is an incredible comparison to draw. He's also a former Venezuelan outfielder, as is obviously right now Francisco Renteria. Bobby Abreu, he was a two-time All-Star, one-time Gold Glover, one-time Silver Slugger across his 18 seasons in Major League Baseball. 291 career hitter, just about a 300 hitter for Bobby Abreu, 288 career home runs, 1,363 RBIs, 400 career stolen bases. He spent 9 years with the Phillies from 1998 to 2006, and that was really the best years of his 18 years in the major leagues. He batted .303 with the Phillies with a .416 on-base percentage, .513 slugging, .928 OPS, 195 home runs, 814 RBIs, and 254 stolen bases in his 9 years with the Phillies. So most of his production at the major league level came with the Phillies in that 9-year span. He was incredible with them. He was traded to the New York Yankees actually in that 2006 season at the deadline. So that ended his Phillies career. And again, kind of not went fully downhill right away, but never really replicated those numbers that he did with the Phillies across those 9 years to end out his major league career. Possible Hall of Famer. He's on the ballot. He could be a Hall of Famer. Probably not this year, but maybe down the line in a few years. So Francisco Renteria, he's got a lot of sky-high expectations. He's got a lot to like about his game. Just a young kid, but getting comparisons drawn to a possible Hall of Famer. You can't hate that, and he's got a lot to like. I'm excited. This was a big move and a big get by the Phillies. Hopefully it pans out for them, and hopefully Renteria is a major piece for this team down the line, as is hopefully Bo Bichette. We all are in on the Bo Bichette rumors here. Bo Bichette to the Phillies is becoming a real possibility this week. He met virtually with the Phillies back on Monday, and that meeting reportedly went very well, according to some credible and reliable MLB sources. The Phillies do have legitimate interest. A lot of people thought maybe there's like a playing game to try to meet with one of these top free agents, make it seem like you have serious interest, and then kind of hoping that gets JT Realmuto to make his decision sooner and get him back in the Phillies red pinstripes. But the Phillies do have legitimate interest in Bo Bichette. Both sides have interest in one another. Bo Bichette, he's reportedly likes the organization. He likes their recent success. Obviously, back-to-back NL East champions, 2022. They were in the World Series, almost got back in 2023. 4 straight playoff appearances. Should be 5 here in 2026 as well. Talented roster still. Don Mattingly, obviously. The connection there. He was Bo Bichette's bench coach in Toronto the past 3 years. They have a good relationship. Also, close proximity to home while at spring training. The Phillies play down in Clearwater, Florida. Bo Bichette, he's from Florida, so he likes that as well. But there are several challenges in the way, obstacles standing in the way of the Phillies signing Bo Bichette. Obviously, first, the commitment financially, the length of a contract, but also the crowded infield, all that kind of stuff. They do have to outbid some of the other larger markets. Now, the Boston Red Sox were listed as one of the top competition for Bo Bichette as well to go after him. They might be out of the picture now after signing Ranger Suarez to that 5-year, $130 million contract. I think that probably takes them out of the Bo Bichette sweepstakes. So that's good news for the Phillies. But the Dodgers, of course, they've been connected to Bo Bichette throughout this whole process. Who knows that kind of interest there between the two sides, or if that's a real possibility with the Dodgers, because that adds a whole nother big contract as well for them, for a team that already has a large payroll like the Phillies. Other big markets as well in on Bo Bichette, but many MLB experts, insiders, they believe the Phillies have the upper hand for offering Bo Bichette something that other teams can't, and that's a lengthier contract. They believe that the Phillies would be willing to give him that extra year or two on a contract that he probably is looking for more sustainability with the team, and to just have that kind of commitment to him. So ESPN's Jeff Passan also, he recently just said that it feels like the Phillies will be the highest bidders for Bo Bichette, so that's good. They really just seem like they are the favorites to land him at this point, and that's awesome. But they would have another obstacle is obviously to clear some payroll, whether that's trading Alec Boehm or Bryson Stott, dumping Nick Castellanos and trying to save a little bit of money there. Obviously, you're going to have to eat a large chunk of his contract because he's owed a lot of money this season, and a team's just not going to take on $20 million this year for Nick Castellanos. But they would have to dump and make some moves here to get Bo Bichette in here. So it's not a given that they get him, but it's seeming like it's becoming just a real possibility. And it's really exciting because a lot of us this offseason didn't really expect them to be going after one of these top four free agents that were in this year's class. Obviously, they brought back Kyle Schwarber. He was one of them. And then we all kind of thought that would be the only big move. But now Bichette, that would be awesome. And he's an incredible player that would help this team, obviously, really just take that next level and give them a lot better of a chance to win the World Series here in 2026 and keep that window open for a few more years as well. And the Phillies, just because they signed Bichette, doesn't mean that they won't bring back JT Realmuto. The original and initial thought was if you sign Bichette, you're not going to get JT Realmuto back. If you sign JT Realmuto, that kind of takes you out of the running for Bichette because you really don't have the money for both. However, the Phillies can pull something off, and the stars are kind of aligning for that with JT Realmuto not having the market he probably thought he would have this offseason. Bichette signing with the Phillies might not mean that JT Realmuto won't be back. Multiple credible sources, MLB insiders, experts have recently said that the Phillies could sign both this offseason, both Realmuto and Bichette, despite prior reports saying they couldn't bring in both, one or the other. But Jim Bowden, one of the specific ones, again, he mentioned recently that JT Realmuto's market is kind of scarce and that he hasn't really heard that a single team is in on the veteran catcher at the moment. So maybe that helps the Phillies. Maybe that 3-year deal, he has to take that. Or maybe they could even adjust their offer, make it a little bit more team friendly for them. Maybe offer them a 1 to 2 year deal worth like in the $10 to $12 million range per year. But most likely they then keep that 3-year contract on the table. I don't know the exact price. I was always in the assumption that JT Realmuto is probably looking between $15 and $18 million a year. Maybe the Phillies number is more in like the $12 to $14 million a year range, which I would like a lot better on that 3-year deal. And maybe that's what JT Realmuto is going to have to take. And apparently, if they do that, they can get Bichette too. So best of both worlds. The Phillies lineup would be incredible if that were the case. You would have a lineup of Trey Turner, Bichette, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Adolis Garcia, either Alec Bohm or Bryson Stott, JT Realmuto, Brandon Marsh, Justin Crawford, your top prospect. That's such a deep and such a good lineup, and just one that would excite so many Phillies fans and really just make it so much more entertaining and interesting heading into this 2026 season. Now, the Phillies, they have to put their money where their mouth is. They're always talking about spending this stupid money, competing, contending, wanting to win a World Series at all costs. John Middleton, their owner, he loves it. He's always talking about it. He's using his money, his big bucks, to keep on putting a World Series caliber team out there year in and year out throughout this Bryce Harper era. So put your money where your mouth is, sign Bichette, bring back JT Realmuto, and compete with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who seem like they're always putting their money where their mouth is and getting all this talent. And they're going to win, obviously, back-to-back World Series in 2024 and 2025 this past year. They've won 3 World Series in the past 5 or so years now. They won one back in 2020, I believe it was. They've been to multiple more World Series in this span. They've been to the playoffs for like 12 straight years. So if the Phillies want to knock off the Dodgers, contend with the Dodgers seriously, then you make this move and you go all in on a guy like Bichette to win a World Series. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I know it's a little bit of a longer one, so hopefully you guys stay tuned throughout this whole episode because I appreciate it. It's some good information here. As a bit of a recap, you guys probably knew a lot about this, but I wanted to talk about it, give my thoughts, give my opinions. Again, nothing was really too breaking newsworthy that I had to get to it right away. So now you know. Thank you guys again for watching. Remember, Phillies Daily is only Phillies Monday through Friday during the offseason, so no video tomorrow or Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Have some nice relaxation, and all that fun stuff. Enjoy it, whatever you are going to be doing. And as always, go Phils.